Hello, guys. Good morning. How you doing? Now, listen, there's some huge things that are coming up with Bitcoin, especially Bitcoin, not just the cryptocurrencies, but especially with Bitcoin. Questions that are being asked amongst the world right now. Like, could Bitcoin replace gold? Could Bitcoin replace the US dollar as the world reserve currency? Now, these questions weren't being asked 2, 3, 4 years ago. 2, 3, 4 years ago, they were saying Bitcoin's going to die. Now all of a sudden they're asking these questions. This is the next step that's happening in the evolution of Bitcoin. And we have to stay up with this evolution. These people out there who are saying Bitcoin's going to go down to zero, it's going to die, it's going to go away, blah, blah, blah. They said all that last time before Bitcoin went to $20,000. If we take a look at the cryptocurrency charts, and we take a look at well, I'm going to take and I'm going to show you these things. We're going to get started, We're going to get the chart started. Just a second here. I want to show you something. Okay, now, we're going to start the chart right here. Now, what I'm going to show you is first this morning's the Bitcoin price. And I'm going to show you right here what's going on with Bitcoin. Now, what we see is, let me focus the chart in so you guys can see. There's a price, 38.70. But we're going to focus in on what Bitcoin's doing today on the chart here, and we're going to take a look. Now, they all say Bitcoin's going to die, but what we can see here is Bitcoin climbed this huge mountain up in price, and then it's fell off now, and it's going along level, and that's what we see in this long-term chart right here. But, just a minute, guys. Hold on. I made a little mistake here. Actually, I didn't make a mistake. I'm tricking you. You're looking at this, right? But now let's move forward a little bit. Let's go forward a little bit. What do we see here? What do we see happening? Oh, right, look at it climbing. Oh, my God, look at it going up. Oh, I fooled you guys. This right here, what looks like the pattern for the chart that we have right now, looks so much like the pattern for the chart we have right now. If you check this out, you'll see that the top of this is only $1,163. And it fell down. And this price down in the valley here I was showing you, you thought you were looking at the chart of right now, this price down here is $216 for a Bitcoin. So we've seen all of this before. The massive price rise up to $1,163 and the drop down to look right there, $246. And then it went along for a little while, just like it's doing now. And then look what happened. Up, 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 massive up, 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 higher, higher, higher. Oh my God. Could we be looking at that happening all over again? Because now look at this. Look at where we're at right now. And let me expand it out just a little bit. Look at where we're at right now. Doesn't that look familiar to the same thing I just showed you before? And now we're going along level. We've leveled out. Basically, it's starting to look now like we might have put in our bottom. And now, if pattern follows the same as last time, it'll go along this way a little while, at around 3,500, 4,000, 3,200 even. It'll go along that way, bouncing along like at the bottom for a while. Then she'll start heating up again. So the big question still remains. Can Bitcoin actually replace gold and replace the dollar as the world reserve currency? These questions never existed before, but now people are starting to ask these questions. That's the first step. And Bitcoin is rolling along underneath the scenes. It's been growing and expanding while it's been down in this bear market. So let's take a more serious look at these questions. And we're going to go to this article right here. It's one of the articles asking the question. Will cryptocurrencies replace gold? And The World Gold Council has issued quite a few interesting papers recently. In this edition of the Gold News Monitor, we discuss the most provocative ones, such as money worthiness of gold compared to Bitcoin, or the ongoing gold repatriation trend. He says here, cryptocurrencies are no substitute for gold. Well, first off, we have to ask ourselves, why are they even talking about it yet? They never used to talk about this before. Cryptocurrencies replacing gold. Ha! 5 years ago, that would have been just something right out of the box that nobody would even look at, that question. But now they're taking a more serious look, and they're going to give you the reasons why it can't. And so, basically, here, he gives you the reasons why it can't ever replace gold. Cryptocurrency and Bitcoin can never replace gold. And here's the reasons why. One, gold is less volatile. The dollar-denominated gold price is 10 times less volatile than the Bitcoin price. This is true. This is true. And the reason why Bitcoin is so volatile is Bitcoin is in its early position. You think Bitcoin's volatile now? You should go back when I started. Bitcoin now is stable to me. I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, this is boring. This is boring. Compared to what it used to be. It swings. It used to be so crazy. Now, it looks stable to me because that's just my opinion. But I can see as it advances in price and as it gets higher and higher, I can see it becoming more and more stable. So, basically, I've answered that first question that he's saying, well, it's so volatile it can't ever replace gold because it's too volatile. I can see stability coming to the Bitcoin market as the price goes up really high. That's what I can see. So I'm going to write that argument off, that first one. I'm just going to say, okay, I got that. It's covered. Bitcoin will become more stable as the price gets higher and as it branches out and becomes more accepted in the world's financial system. So I covered that one. Now the next one. Gold has a more liquid market. Bitcoin's turnover is $2 billion a day on the average, which is roughly less than 1% of the total gold market that has a turnover of approximately $250 billion a day. Yeah, well, Bitcoin has come a massively long way to get up to a $2 billion a day average. I remember a time when Bitcoin was like you couldn't spend it anywhere, and it didn't have $2 billion a day. If going back to that time, if I had a time machine right now and I went back to that time when Bitcoin was much smaller, back when I first kind of got involved with it, back when Bitcoin was $60 a piece, if all of a sudden they had a $2 billion day, they would have been like, wow! Now, $2 billion a day is the average. It's no big deal. It shows you the growth. Why can't Bitcoin grow until it's $250 billion a day and even surpass that? So I'm going to write this one off too. I'm going to write that one off too. So we got the first two of them written off, basically. Now, the third one is trades in an established regulatory framework. Well, guess what, guys? Bitcoin is developing an established regulatory framework as we speak. The Security Exchange Commission is mulling over different proposals for exchange-traded funds for it. It's come an awful long way in that regard of being of trading in an established regulatory framework. It's just a matter of time before it's completely traded in an established regulatory framework. And we all know this. If you're watching my channel, you guys know that eventually Bitcoin's going to be trading in an established regulatory framework. So we're going to write that one off too. Now, the next one, reason why they say that Bitcoin will never become the equivalent of digital gold, is gold has a well understood role in an investment portfolio. What do you think, guys? Do you think that someday in the nearby future, if Bitcoin keeps going up and it keeps spreading out wider and wider in its market appeal, that it'll have a well understood role in an investment portfolio? I think it will. I think it will. So I think Bitcoin's get that one covered too. These are all their arguments why Bitcoin can't replace gold. It says it has little overlap with cryptocurrencies on many sources of demand and supply. The thing is Bitcoin is so fluid and liquid within the system. Unlike gold. Gold's rigid. It's a matter of time until Bitcoin builds out this demand and supply chains. Bitcoin is extremely liquid compared to gold. You take gold, for instance, and say you've got a big pile of gold in a vault, and say you want to move it halfway across America. Okay? You got huge problems. Say you want to deliver that to a guy halfway across America. This is demand and supply issues are directly related to the being able to move or liquidity, being able to move the liquidity of the asset you're holding. Bitcoin's got that covered way better than gold. Bitcoin, 10 minutes, you've moved it to whoever you're selling it to. Now gold, you got that big heap of gold in the vault. You want to move it. You've got logistical problems involved. Massive. You're going to have to hire a Brinks truck, and you're going to have to get it to the other guy for a payment. And then you got to have guards guarding it, with guns and everything else, watching over it and everything. Bitcoin has got that covered. Much. So we're going to move on to the next one. Has a broad appeal outside the tech-savvy demographics. Has a broad appeal outside the tech-savvy demographics. Okay, let's go back in time. Let's have a time machine. Let's go back in time. What sort of appeal did Bitcoin have outside of very tech-savvy people? How many people knew about Bitcoin? If you went back, say, to 2010, only really tech-savvy people and only a few college nerds and stuff even knew of its existence. I didn't know of its existence in 2010. Okay? This broad appeal has grown massively for Bitcoin outside of tech-savvy people at this point. And so it's only going to continue to grow. I can see a time in a not too distant future where there's more not tech-savvy people that know about Bitcoin than know about gold. Let's face it. Let's take a look at some of the videos that Mark Dice has produced, where he stood outside a coin shop with a gold coin, and he said to the people there, this gold coin, is worth like $1,500. I'll sell it to you for $30. And they walk up and they'll pick up his gold coin, and they'll look at it and look at both sides of it, and they'll hand it back to him and they'll say no. He stood outside these places with a 10-ounce bar of silver. And he said, do you want this or the Hershey bar? And they always take the Hershey bar. I'll tell you the funny part of it is, I watch those videos. I get a real kick out of Mark Dice's videos, honest to God. The one where he's got the Hershey bar and the bar of silver, he does about 10 different people before he goes home and finishes his video. The last person, he does, he can still lose his silver bar, and he's really nervous. The last person, like, he knows that he's going to complete the video. That's the last person on his list he's got to do. If he can just get past that last one, he can get to keep his silver bar. And he's like really nervous. And he's like handed to, do you want this one, or this one? And he's like, he's almost like, if I could just get through this last person, I get to keep my silver bar, I get a kick out of him, that the fact that, and when he finally makes it through, he's like, whew, I'm glad they didn't take my silver bar. I get a kick out of that anyway. So this last one, broad appeal outside the tech-savvy demographic. I'm going to tell you what, gold doesn't have that big of a broad appeal. I think that already, Bitcoin is getting known amongst people out there. And they have a better, like, amongst the general public, I think more people know about Bitcoin right now. I think if Mark Dice went out and said to people, $30 for one Bitcoin on the street, I think he'd get takers quicker than the gold coin. I honest to goodness do. I think that this appeal thing is growing for Bitcoin much faster than it's grown for gold. Because gold, let's face it, had thousands of years to develop this appeal outside the tech-savvy community. Okay? And Mark Dice is able to do these things where he's able to offer a gold coin, And here's the thing. I think that more people now, Bitcoin has come such a long way in such a short period of time that we can pretty much write this one off too. So, anyway, listen. It says all these differences explain why Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are not a substitute for gold. In particular, the former should not be considered safe havens, he said, these cryptocurrencies. Well, I agree. Cryptocurrency is not a safe haven at this point. It's not a safe haven asset. It's still a speculative investment. But I'm going to tell you what. When Bitcoin climbs this next big mountain, well, I think it's going to. I really do. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I would say that I feel about 99% confident that it's going to climb this next big mountain. It's just a question of when. Is it 6 months from now? Is it 3 months from now? Is it a month from now when it starts to climb it? Or is it a year from now? I'm not sure exactly how long it's going to take, but Bitcoin's working its way there toward climbing this next big mountain. And if history tells us anything, Bitcoin's climbed these mountains like 9 times before. And it's always ended up higher than it was before it started. This is just a pattern it's following, And that's why I feel so certain it's going to do it again. But always, the mountains are that much bigger. Like the mountain I tricked you with when I showed you that first chart. It climbed up to like $1,100. Nobody thought, after it come back down, nobody thought it would ever go to $1,100 again. I remember the talk. Oh, Bitcoin ever go up that high again? Went up to 20,000. What's this next one going to do? Is it going to take it up to 100,000? Very well could. And I'm going to tell you what, it could start soon. It could actually do it in this year or next year. And it could be at hundreds of thousands of dollars. How much Bitcoin are you going to be able to afford when it reaches those really high prices? And you know all that's going to do to Bitcoin if Bitcoin climbs up to $100,000? Talk on the street, everybody's going to be talking about Bitcoin. And everybody's going to be wanting to buy it. And that's just going to increase its stability in the markets. It's going to increase all these things. This broad appeal outside the tech-savvy demographic. It's going to happen. Huge appeal. Huge appeal. Far more. They're even going to prefer it, I think, over the dollar. And that's when the dollar's in trouble. When they start preferring it over the dollar. That's what's coming next. Listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye, guys.